game is an amateur game. I mean, the professional side of it, there are idols and heroes and fun to watch them play. But I mean, if it wasn't for amateur golf, there would be no golf.
You have to remember, when you play a golf course and you're out there for 4 hours or whatever, you're only hitting a ball for 15 minutes of that. So there's a lot of time to look around.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Top 100 Clubhouse podcast. I'm your host, James Henderson. I'm here with Jasper Miners, and we are discussing what we've just finally watched, which is Scotty Scheffler winning the Open at one of the great golf courses in the world, Portrush. What do you think? How do you think Portrush did fared on the TV screens?
Yeah, it came across well. I think the Americans will be inspired to come. It's probably a golf course that you watch and you kind of think, I'd like to go have a go at that. It doesn't look overwhelming. Just thinking back to Oakmont, like you just think after about 3 holes, you just want to walk into the clubhouse. But I think Portrush is one of those golf courses where, because the pros did go low, it probably made it look a lot easier than it actually is. But it's probably really good for the club and for the course in the sense that it probably makes it look accessible. So it didn't look overwhelming. I don't think it's going to intimidate anyone. And that's a really good thing for Northern Irish tourism and the club itself.
Yeah, first thing I'd like everyone to realise that no matter what you think, a lot of those golf balls you saw go into the rough would have been lost if it was us and didn't have ball spotters.
Spotters and galleries. I mean, that was the
galleries.
other thing. Like, I don't know how many times people found it out right on 17. And it was all trampled down and they would get drops and lies. Yeah. For mere mortals, like you would have been 3, basically hitting 3. So,
and to be fair,
yeah.
they kind of it was won by Scotty Scheffler on a massive margin. The big thing about it was that massive margin is probably dictated by the weather.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, other than what was it, day 2? They had a bit of weather on day 2, but yeah, Royal Portrush didn't show its teeth. It didn't bare its teeth. It was a rather mundane luck. If you showed up for 4 days at Portrush and wanted to play golf, this was probably about as good as you could ask for. There was maybe 1 or 2 spots of rain, but the weekend was really not severe at all. So yeah, it was prime scoring conditions, and even at that, they didn't necessarily go too low. So the odd 65, there might have been a 64, but I think 65 was kind of the low mark.
Yeah, was it not done by our man Ricky? I think it was Ricky Fowler.
I think it might have been.
Today.
And the other thing was the second time, I think someone had a 29 on the back in an Open Championship. I think that was Lee Westwood.
Yeah, it was Lee Westwood after shooting 40 in the front.
Yeah, typically that's just golf, isn't it? 40 on the front, and then the second person in history to break 30. So, but it's exactly what we said. Like Portrush does have some opportunities once you get past the front. If you can survive those first 4 holes, there's opportunities to be had, especially after you make that turn. And if the wind is going in the right direction, I think maybe that's the thing I learned about Portrush this week, especially, was depending on the prevailing wind. Like if the wind was coming kind of from the sea inland, there's a couple of the par 5s that were eagle opportunities for these guys. Yeah. So if it would have been going the other way, it was a legitimate 3-shot hole. So
the second's a great example of that. The second was a hole that was completely eaten up. But also, it's actually, we talked about this repeatedly over the time. It's pressure release. You have a really tough opening hole. It asks you a lot of you in the first hole, and then gives you a birdie opportunity to follow it.
Yeah, great golf course. There's obviously a lot of reasons why the RNA wants it to keep going back. I mean, the fact that they can cram so many people on that golf course, logistically, it's a lot easier than some of the other sites that they go to. The
Northern Irish
they mention about. They do, yeah, and like I say, it's a great destination.
Do you know why?
I'm sure the Royal Portrush will keep going back. I'm sure it'll be a perennial thing. Just every 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years, it'll probably keep being there.
Do you know why they go back? Why there's it's such a slam dunk?
I, yeah, I mean, I guess from a logistics point of view and from a ticket sales point of view, but enlighten me.
It's because Northern Ireland has no large-scale sporting events. It has one professional team, sports
Is it the
team,
ice
full
hockey
stop.
team in Belfast?
So two, they have the ice hockey. They actually have two now because the ice hockey team's now professional, but they also have the rugby team as well. So they have two fully professional teams. Is that not wild?
It's amazing to think. It is absolutely wild.
So
So
very little
I guess it's one
great
of those
sport.
things where perhaps locals that are just like, it's sort of like people that go to Silverstone for the F1 that aren't really into F1. It's just something to do, and it's an experience. So you're right; they do show up. I mean, I think it was record crowds, and it was made mention of too. Is that every penny that they make off this gets plowed right back into their operations. So yeah, it's a really important tournament. It was well done, and yeah, I think Portrush held up very well.
Do you mean operations as in building the world's smallest roofed room in the Harney clubhouse?
I think you made the men's locker room for whatever reason. It's if
I
you're
can't
over about,
stand up in
well,
it.
if you're James's height, then
I'm
that it
six
does
foot
come
five.
quite.
It's lovely done. Don't get me wrong, but they just haven't. It's made by. It was designed by someone who's 5'3". It's wild,
The
honestly.
old Tom Morris's original requirements, maybe. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe. I
it's a funny one, that.
I think it's to do with the fact that it's sitting on that almost like bedrock stuff. So there's no room for it to do anything. So it's not like you can't really knock them without blowing up bedrock below the old RNA clubhouse. It makes sense. But I'm just finding it funny. So yeah, Portrush looked good. Scotty walked away with it. Probably a deserved winner. He's maybe the most with it golfer right now. He's always there or thereabouts. Do you think that Scotty will complete his major Grand Slam next year?
Well, this is the thing. So, I mean, everybody gets caught up in the moment. It's like after everybody wins a major, all the journalists are clamoring to say, we're going to see this guy, he's going to contend. And then sometimes they just disappear. So, did a little bit of research. Scotty, of course, now has won the Masters twice, the PGA Championship, and the Open. So, he's got the US Open. So, here's a question for you, James. I usually get stuck with the trivia questions.
Hit
So
me.
which active golfers now are one major away from the career Grand Slam?
Phil Mickelson.
Yep. So he requires the US Open now,
Yep.
just same as Scotty Scheffler. And who else? You'll get the other one.
Active. Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, you've got it. And he needs the PGA Championship. So what's crazy is that Spieth has had 8 attempts or 9 attempts almost at getting the PGA Championship. So it's taken him 9 years, and we're still counting.
And I think that period that he was best was when Rory was off the boil, and then you had people. You didn't have the likes of Scottish Schefflers and your kicking around. There's a young crop of golfers right now that are playing at a very elite levels.
Absolutely. But you might find this interesting. So other golfers who have won 3 legs of the career Grand Slam but never got it over the line.
Tom Watson.
So Tom Watson, you're right, won total of 8 majors, never was able to win a PGA Championship. He, from 1982 onwards, he had opportunities to do it and never did. Have you got another one? There's 2 more that you probably. Well, you can have a guess. There's a big name that most people would just assume had made the Grand Slam but never did.
Was that Arnold Palmer?
Arnold Palmer, absolutely. So again, PGA Championship was one that he missed. So the other ones, Sam Snead, Lee Trevino, kind of the modern day slams that they never got across the line. So this is the thing that I think sometimes we just jump to conclusions that, like, oh, of course they've won 3 legs, they're going to get it there. Spieth, Mickelson, Palmer, Trevino, Snead, and Watson never got it across the line. And it took Rory how many years to get the Masters over? I mean, it was. So I think that's the thing. It's going to be incrementally, but Scheffler seems to be the guy who says, I really want to do it, but it doesn't really mean much to me. Does that mean that it's going to be easier for him next year at the US Open? Don't know. Just have to wait and see.
My major thing about Scheffler is maybe Scheffler more than anyone I remember, bar maybe Tiger, has had a sustained period where every tournament he enters, he's in the top 10.
Yeah.
You know, he is the best player on the planet. He might not get the rub of the green sometimes. He got the rub of the green this week, and he won it.
Yeah.
If
When he does, and that's the thing. If he's playing his best golf, he's probably going to win the tournament. Well, he's not going to lose the tournament, put it that way. And it's going to take something extraordinary. No, exactly. He's so consistent, and he doesn't get big numbers.
He's so good at turning it around phenomenal. As well. He can have a bad day on the golf course, shooting +2 would be a bad day for him. And next day he'll shoot 5 or 6, and he'll be there amongst it again. That was an incredible fight back from DuChambeau. It was really fun to watch. Well, that's the thing.
He is probably the only golfer that kept up with Scheffler for 3 days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean that's the thing. You win the majors by basically having 4 good days. I mean next year US Open Shinnecock. You know, does that align for Scheffler? Well, I think every course does the way that he plays golf. So he probably has the best chances as anyone does. And he'll probably still be the favorite going in. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. To be honest, I think for whatever reason, I think this year's majors, Quail Hollow was a bit of a letdown for me just because of the venue. It was great to see Rory get the first one across the line, the career Grand Slam. You and I watched that in Dublin at the pub. And that was an awesome night. And then for whatever reason, it's just never, the US Open, JJ Spawn, not a big name. No one really knew about him. And then now Scheffler kind of in like the least exhilarating fashion, basically just wins the. So I'm really looking forward.
And like in terms of a product, if I was a TV producer, I found it really boring. I wouldn't be very happy with what's happened. Hats off to Scheffler for being exceptional. But if you're saying that it full of drama like the Masters or Oakmont, no. It was a pretty boring, boring watch. Not because the golf course isn't brilliant, just because there was one person dominating. Whereas at the other two, I'm not thinking about the PGA, it was so good to watch till the last shot.
Yeah,
it was just brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So
and what's better? Yeah, for golf
I'm looking forward to.
Is Tiger winning by 20 or whatever it was at Pebble Beach better for golf than when he won that Masters and fought to hold that chip? Which is better?
It's hard to say. I think my argument with that would be that when you think about Tiger running the tables, he did it in like really flamboyant style. Like he engaged with the crowd. He was fist pumping. He was yelling and screaming. It was dramatic, even though you knew that he was going to dig across the line before he even teed it up. So it's one of those ones. It's almost like it's interesting. Basically, whilst Scotty Scheffler was still on the 18th green, he was probably thinking about what's for dinner, and basically had already thought, the afterglow had already worn off, according to what you said earlier in the week. And I know that's being a bit facetious. And I think we all understood what he meant
What he
You
said
know,
was very cool, and it was
it's sort
wonderful to
of.
hear it from someone.
I think it was really realistic. I think it was good. Because at the end of the day, like, it is a game and it is their livelihood. Um, but things put, life has a way of helping you to see what's really important. And I think for all of us, like, who ever had dreams of playing golf professionally, or still get excited when we go low, and you think, man, imagine if you were the best in the world at this and you could win that tournament. How awesome would that be? And we kind of live, but if you're living that dream, it just becomes normal. So yeah, he's an interesting fella, probably just as interesting as any of the other big ones, just in a completely different way. He's quite introspective and not extroverted, as opposed to some of the more flamboyant guys on tour. So it's the guy we've got at the moment.
Yeah, and he's fucking good at golf.
He is.
He's so good.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think
it's
people realize how
amazing.
good he actually is.
And I think that's the point, is because when you look at him, like, if you seen that guy swinging a club at your local driving range, you would be like, this
Four
guy is like,
handicapper, if lucky.
yeah. Yeah, and he's one of the best in the world. There's lots of guys on the driving range that are at anyone's local driving range that probably have more classical swings than he does.
Doesn't
And
matter.
but he gets it around. So
Well, I
yeah,
guess they're around
that's
better than
it was.
anyone else.
Yeah, and by a country mile. I mean, Scheffler and Rory have separated themselves. It'll be interesting to see. Growing
Bryson
up,
DeChambeau, I would say, is still in that debate. I wouldn't say he's completely out of it. I would say if there is an S tier, you could argue that on his day, or on the Bryson DeChambeau's in that group.
I would agree with you as well. It's just a shame that we don't see them playing at the same event. And you
And
come
it's the
back
same
to,
with
the
when Ram would have been in that same group
Ram.
if he didn't piss off.
Exactly.
But I can understand why I did, because I wouldn't mind 500 million. Wouldn't be a little bit of pocket
Could
change.
entice me, I think.
Tell you what, I've just come back from a night out in Newcastle. You'd have to have a lot of nights out to be able to spend that in Newcastle. It's not expensive. Right, you wanted to talk about panelists a wee bit, because we've had a lot of inquiries, a lot of chat about panelists, because we're just going to do a shorter pod this week because we found that people have digested a lot of golf in a week. And then when we put our podcast out for Monday morning, listening to a little bit about the Open is probably the best thing, and a little bit of news about Top 100 rather than a big deep dive into some guy's career.
Exactly.
So we're going to have a wee chat about, and if you disagree or agree, then send us a message, but we're going to have a wee chat about panelists.
Yeah, so this is something that's come up. It's actually not a thing, but I know at the end of when we released the world rankings, the UK and I rankings, and then some of the Oceania rankings, where we basically just kind of sorted out the top of that to reflect or to align with the world rankings. There's been a lot of chat about basically who's on the panel, and the fact that we don't always make our panelists publicly known. So we've had a bit of back and forth. There's always DMs. Some people have taken a really hard line and said, "Oh, your ranking's completely irrelevant." And maybe it's just to go on the record to say, "Look, these are the reasons why we don't always. In some cases, we do." So maybe just to list them off. So first of all, with a lot of other media companies that have rankings or produce rankings, the panelists are either paid or they pay for the privilege. So there's some organizations out here that have hundreds, if not thousands, of panelists who all pay for the privilege. So the idea is that you presumably pay to be a panelist, and that gets you access to golf courses that you wouldn't normally have access to. We don't get involved in any of those things. All of our panelists pay their way. They don't get reimbursed, and on occasion they may be offered complimentary golf at the odd golf club, but by and large, all of our panelists are traveling golfers who do it off their own back. So that's one of the first reasons, is that we don't disclose a lot of our panelists because they don't owe us anything and we don't owe them anything. The other thing is that a lot of our guys get access to clubs that wouldn't let them through the front door if they knew that they were working for us. So especially in the States, there's a lot of high-end private clubs that are quite closed to the outside. And if they knew that the individuals going through their front doors were reporting back or contributing towards our panel, they just wouldn't get in. So that's another reason why we don't always disclose the names. Another reason is people ask for anonymity. We have a lot of individuals that are quite well known, highly respected. They might be big deals in their local area or very well connected, and they help us, and we're happy for that. And we're better off having them, even if it means that we don't disclose their identity. We're not judging our panelists. So some people have said, oh, yeah, your panels are irrelevant if we don't know who your panelists are. We're not ranking panelists. We are ranking the ranking. So the courses. So if you don't agree with the ranking, that's fine. But how good you think our ranking is shouldn't depend upon the panelists that make it up. Just as an example, if you loved a golf course and then you knew that someone that you respected was on our panel and they said that the course that you hated was better than one that you liked, would you change your mind? If you did, then you don't actually know yourself and you don't know what you like or what you don't like. And you're just being led by the person that you think is more clever than you. So the fact is that the rankings stand on their own merits. They should be able to stand up to scrutiny. And if you don't like it, well, that's fine. That's not a problem. And the last thing, and again, we just have to ask for a bit of trust when we come to this, is if we use industry guys or guys that have been involved on certain construction projects, or they're members of certain clubs, we discount those connections. So if I'm a member at X club and it's on the border of going into the world or regional or country ranking, you might be campaigning for it, but we don't listen to you. Simple as. I mean, I think I've mentioned before, my club, I think, is criminally underrated. And I think maybe that's one of the best examples of a golf course that, a lot of industry guys and a lot of guys that really know what they're talking about would have a lot higher. People might look at, say, my position and say, well, is there anything untowards going? Well, case in point. If it was, my golf course would be a lot higher than it is. But it's not. And that's because we defer to our panel and our panel leads to make those and help those decisions. Now, all of us, we're members at golf clubs that we all love to play. And that's the way it should be.
That's why we're members of the golf clubs.
Exactly. But it does color. You do have your perception can sometimes be tinted by the fact that you're a member of that club and you love it so much. But that's another good example, just to show that we don't get involved. So, anyways, it was good just maybe to put that out there. Whether you agree with it or not, it is what it is. Those are our reasons. We will be publishing some names. There's some individuals that don't mind being mentioned that are very, very outgoing, play a lot of golf, and do a lot of work for Top 100, visiting clubs and playing courses. And of course, they're well known. If you follow our stories, chances are most of those guys you'll see in the stories on Instagram. But yeah, it's maybe good just to go on the record to explain why we do what we do and why. There's a lot of big things going on in the world, and golf course rankings are kind of on the lower tier of importance when it comes to.
No, they're
really
very important
things.
Jasper, don't worry.
Well, no, they are. Yeah. Sorry. So, anyways, yeah, that's a little bit of a discussion. And look, it's not a massive deal, but I think it's good just to be transparent when it comes to rankings. Like, we are genuinely trying our best. And if you're on the professional side and you've made any contact with Top 100 golf courses, whether officially through a club or otherwise, we will plainly put in black and white in the email correspondence, in our pitch documents, whatever it might be, that our rankings are not for sale and they will not be influenced by ad spend. And I think if you look at some of the decisions that have been made, that's clearly evident that we're not afraid to make big decisions because we don't have irons in the fire. We don't have other basically obligations to individuals that are spending with us. So it's one of those where, yeah, we're just trying our best. Hopefully that clears up a little bit of maybe some of the stories that people hear and some of the rumors that are being bounded around. But at the end of the day, that is the long and short of it. That is the truth.
And if you do want to make it personal, just go see Jasper in person. I won't tell you his address, but you can DM him. And just be aware, Jasper was a bruiser in ice hockey, so I wouldn't expect an easy fight.
Yeah, I think there was a video. I think there was a video of this from an ex-NHLer in Alberta that dealt with slow play in a very reasonable Canadian way that was making its rounds last week on social media. Don't know if I go that far, but there we are.
Right, nice and light, nice and short, half an hour today. And thank you very much for everyone who's listening. Thank you again, Jasper, for jumping on. We'll get a couple of cool, interesting pods that we've recorded. They'll be coming out soon. One being Ian Woosnam, which was very fun. He is some laugh. And then we've got a few other very interesting ones coming up. So I wish you all the best and you enjoyed the Open. Right. Thank you.